evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl, Lady Mprez, and right now I have right here Mr. Antonio Dumornay. He is running for Congressional District 19, which includes the Lee County and Collier County area of Florida. So the reason we have Mr. Dumornay here is because we want to really get to know our candidates, and especially us being millennials and feeling like there's nobody there to really vocalize for us. I feel like Mr. Dumornay would be the perfect person to interview because he's a millennial himself, and going over his website and talking to him, I feel that, hey, you guys need to get to know him too and see why I'm liking where he's heading. So, Mr. Dumornay, first would you like to tell us how old you are?
I'm 30 years old.
Okay, perfect. And
born April 1st, 1989. Miami. Been raised in Naples all my life.
Okay. So you've been raised in Naples all your life, so you know the Southwest Florida area pretty well.
Pretty well.
Okay, perfect. So, what's your background?
Well, what I do for a living is that I do golf cart transportation across Southwest Florida. We service golf carts, pick them up and sell them. We do many things. Other than that, I'm a father to three. Have a wife. I attended Edison College, which is now Florida Southwestern. I went there for 2 years. It got a little expensive for me, so I dropped out of college and I just started picking up the books and understanding things on my own, and been applying that out into my everyday life ever since.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that because I dropped out my second year too. I ain't gonna lie, man. I was like, to me, I feel college was overrated.
Yeah.
I wasn't into school as it was, but I love to learn.
And I'm like, it's like so many of us got that story where we try to get by on FAFSA, but ultimately FAFSA doesn't pay for everything. So then we're like, okay, let's go out of pocket. And then when we go out of pocket, we also realize like it starts to mess with how we live, how we function, the way we pay our bills. So we be like, you know what? Since I'm just reading a lot, I can go home and do it, and then just hopefully, when I do approach certain jobs and I show them my abilities and they see my skills, that they give me what's due.
Yeah, I feel you on that because I went through a lot of that. People don't even know the headache of just trying to go to school, paying rent, having to have a full-time job or 2 jobs, which I was doing. It was rough. It was definitely rough. Now, also, what's your heritage, your background?
Well, I am Haitian Dominican descent. My dad is Dominican. My mom is Haitian, a Haitian Bahamian. I've been in they left the islands a long time ago, around like 80, I'll say like 84, 84, 85.
Okay.
Been here ever since. My mom and my dad met each other in Miami here, and they had me, and I've been here ever since.
Now, do you speak Spanish or Creole?
I speak. I'll say I'm slacking on the Spanish. I'm slacking with my Creole as well, because, we're here in America. Obviously, I'm American, with a descendant background. And it's just that, you tend to speak in the manner that you're always surrounded by.
That is true.
And my mom, my grandma and everybody, they speak more English because of, being Creole being their primary language, and then on my father's side, they speak, a little bit of both. It's kind of broken down a little bit, but it's because they're here and they speak the English language.
So how did that affect you growing up here in Southwest Florida?
Well, it's an interesting one. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate. It's interesting because sometimes you want to feel a little different and speak another language, especially when you want to say something that your one anyone wants to hear. But other than that, it's kind of more of an honor, to be able to associate yourself with various different cultures and, speaking different tongues, which is also a plus. And, the way our society is right now, knowing more than one language is a plus, English will always be my primary language, but it's an honor to be able to speak Creole, and actually it's an honor to actually have a Spanish background as well.
And see, I love to hear that because I know how it was. I grew up in the same neighborhood as you.
Yes.
And we were like one of the few Jamaican families. So I remember my accent when I was young. People would make fun of it. So at one point I kind of felt ashamed. I'm like, I need to be more American. I spoke Spanish as well. So it was kind of like, who is this girl?
Yeah.
But now that I'm older and I'm like, man, why am I ashamed of speaking more than one language? I should be proud of that.
Yes, it is an honor.
It's an honor. And
Yeah.
people don't realize how diverse Florida really is, because a lot of people, you'd be surprised, our colors speak Spanish, speak different languages.
You'll be shocked.
What?
Yeah.
So it's nice to see a candidate that can represent like a multicultural side. We don't get to see much of that.
It's very confusing growing up as a kid.
It
you know?
is.
You know, you can feel, you know, kind of exiled, or you can feel amongst the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was more exile. I was like, yo, nobody gets me. It's okay though. Okay.
I get you.
Okay, right? Okay, so in regards to culture, let's see. I feel that Southwest Florida is rather disconnected, especially on a social level. Coming from living in areas such as Broward, you know, I lived in Fort Lauderdale, those areas where the social lifestyle is like, it's mad different. It's more engaging. There's a lot for millennials to do. You know, it's a lot of young people trying to achieve goals and do the same thing. So it made living in that type of atmosphere fun. So what's your plans for developing the community here in Southwest Florida?
Well, it's a you know, a step-by-step plan. First, we have to start by focusing on community development. Community development has been my biggest you know, focus. It's because we have to focus on how we live. We have to be able to focus on how we able to retain a lot of our income in order for us to do the things we need to do within our lives. I don't think the government should get involved, you know, in our everyday lives, but also give us the pathway to be able to function in our own way, how we want in ordinance with the laws and the governance of, you know, the communities that we live in. The first thing I would do is that I would actually focus on the cost of living. See if we can work with the city and businesses to actually have a relationship better than they do now, to where we can actually control the cost of living, keep it at 60% of someone's income, instead of let it rise above 80% as we currently see now. We was talking earlier, and you know, I mentioned to you that a lot of everyone's rent right now in Southwest Florida, particularly around Florida and particularly the country, it rises 7% every year. Now, Southwest Florida, it rises 7% every year because we're growing. But at the same time, our wealth is not growing, and that's a big problem. And you know, after that, we get to focus on the children, getting businesses to also have a better relationship with the city and a better communication channel with the education department here as well, where we can actually fund programs for children to remain after school, stay out of trouble, find a better path in their life, and focus on what they need to focus on.
That's definitely good, man, because I feel community development and community engagement in general is needed. Okay, so I love that about community development, I really do. I want to see our kids prosper because they need that. I remember how it was just having something like, you remember Mr. James Whitaker in our neighborhood? Yeah, video game club.
He's a legend.
And you know, a lot of people thought he was strict, but he was just about the discipline. That's all it was.
James Whitaker is a legend.
Yeah, I give him mad respect. Him, Miss Mercy back in the day. I mean, they really helped
Mercy
evolve.
is a legend too.
Yeah, they helped evolve people like us, man. Okay, now, here's one of the things that we definitely gotta talk about. Living here in Florida, transportation is a burden on this side of Florida. I think back to Broward County and Dade County once again, and the Tri-Rail system made our lives over there, because I could be in Hollywood right now, and the next hour I am in West Palm Beach. We used to take it, it was affordable, it was accessible. Your car, if it got effed up, hey, it's okay, take the Tri-Rail, take the bus. There were so many forms of transportation. But over here, I noticed it's a little bit slower. We have a train track, but I feel like there's so much more could be utilized. And when I read your whole thing on your website, I noticed you discussed on their high-speed railing system. So what's your plan for bringing a high-speed railing system here?
Okay, my plans for a high-speed railing system, you know, it's centered around the focus that we need to get more futuristic with our generation on how we see transportation. Obviously, the cost of living is affecting how we, you know, get around, and how we're able to pay for transportation as well, or even having a car ourselves. We all know that the cost for a car payment is pretty high for a lot of us, having a lot of credit problems. So being able to bring a high-speed railing system to Florida, where it's a triangle shape from Orlando to Fort Myers, from Fort Myers to Miami, Miami back to Orlando. We already have a train track system, but that train track system is used for transporting gas and other simple things within the energy sector. Obama mentioned a high-speed railing system in Florida before. Obviously, it didn't make it. Our former governor, Rick Scott, which is now a senator, he wanted a high-speed railing system too. So you had a little bit of bipartisan support for a high-speed railing system in Florida. It's very much needed. We're pretty much the only state, that's pretty dilapidated when it comes to transportation and highway systems. So having a high-speed railing system, I mean, just think about that.
What?
Having a high-speed railing system that's cost-effective, paying, okay, let's just, for instance, if I was elected and I was able to work with other city officials and state officials, I would work with them in a manner where we can actually create a legislation or a piece of bill for the state where we control the cost of transportation on this high-speed railing system, whether it be in the form of how people can pay for a bus pass, and they have a certain amount they can, they can use throughout the month, where they can travel throughout the whole entire state. Or, we can simply keep it in a, $20, $40 range if you're going from Fort Myers to Miami. Just throwing up this type of mind frame in there, just so people can get a, understanding. So it would be great to have a system where we can actually pay $40 for 2-3 weeks, and we have the ability to hop on a train in Fort Myers and go to work in Orlando. And get back on the train and come back home to Fort Myers within an hour. We all know it takes 4 hours, but just beginning to think on how we can do that for our generation when it comes to the cost and the way we live, it would be a perfect thing to have within Florida.
That is beautiful, because let me tell you, there's plenty of times where it's like, hey, I had to go travel here, go here, and there's times where a car is just not feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Renting a car, or even just like you said, how much the cost for a payment on a car is, with the insurance and all that other stuff, is just like, sometimes it's like, I don't want to drive my car today, I don't need my car, I'd rather just jump on a train or do something. And I love the idea how you say, make it like a triangle, like you could hit every city that way.
You can hit every city that way in a major way, and it'd be very effective, because you can get on a train to Fort Myers and jet to Miami. And then you can get on the train in Miami, jet to Orlando, and then once you get off in Orlando, you can go to Tallahassee, you can go to Georgia, or just think about it. If people see the way we operate here in Florida with this high-speed railing system, Georgia might take part of it. And then we'll go from Orlando to Decatur. We'll go from Orlando to Atlanta. And people can jump on this. The reason why we don't have a high-speed railing system is because we're lagging in how we technologically think as a generation. And maybe we do have these ideas, but we're not hearing them enough. And even with us not hearing them enough, we're not thinking we can apply these things, because the cost of living for us, whether it be transportation, housing, medical, or regular expenses such as eating, having groceries, and regular amenities in that such manner, we need it. Our generation is the next generation to take very a strong hold in how we live, whether we govern through politics, social, entertainment, and so forth. And we need to be able to find a way to be more debt-free from paying high car payments and just being able to get a job in a whole nother city and be there and back and forth within 30 minutes to an hour.
And I can't think of a real con with that, because reality is this, right? Different cities, we're all located, that would open up jobs, that will build back up the economy. Hey, I don't see that as a bad idea at all. I can't see a con with that at all. That would actually help a lot of us.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing for people to think about.
Yes.
Imagine living in Naples, and I got a job in Orlando.
Right.
And I can just drive 30 minutes to Fort Myers, hop on this train, and shoot, I'm there.
Okay, perfect. I like that. Okay, so one of the things I want to touch on, especially me doing social work, I've seen a lot of how people live. I've seen a lot of the restrictions and barriers people have unto obtaining housing. The homeless situation here in Florida is big, and I feel like it's never discussed. I've told you myself, I've been there myself of being homeless, and it's a very traumatic situation. And from then on, I promised myself I'm not going back there. But the reality is how the cost of living is. One check could have you homeless on these streets.
Yes.
And you get sick, you're homeless on the streets. So what ideas do you have to combating the homeless problem?
The homeless problem has to start with the city and its officials and how they really see and view their homeless population. You know, one of the things that I spoke about at a community meeting before is that the city has to work closely with the church. The church is a nonprofit organization along with the city being a nonprofit. So we should be able to provide housing for those who are homeless, and also the way we, you know, have different mind frames about how we should take care of the homeless, or how we should, you know, how we see the homeless, is that many of us want to see the homeless have a way to, you know, having a job. And then also, even though that they had those jobs, some homeless people do have mental problems. So, you know, it's a very complex situation, and it's a very, you know, heartfelt situation that needs a lot of attention, and it has to be a city-felt attention, and it has to be between the city and the church, because many people want to see homeless people work for their living. Many of us just want to see us actually making the moves to help them. Now, the church, you know, should be able to provide housing for them without a doubt, as long as they maintain a job, whether it's minimum wage or not. It's just that you're able to, you know, come up with some type of a compromise or agreement that you receive $100, $200 from them, you know, while they, you know, live the way they live. Because I don't want to be involved in a lot of people's lives when it comes to the way they live. I think that's too much of an encroachment on people. And some people can't mentally handle that challenge, and some people, you know, tend to want to be on their own and live out on the streets. And it's just a very complex issue, but we should be able to provide enough assistance and enough housing for them to be able to live on their own.
Yes, amen, amen. Okay. Hey, that subject always touches me, because I feel like it doesn't get enough attention, and I feel like people just sweep it under the carpet. And every day, like, I bump into old clients, and it's like a repeated cycle all the time, and I see them just getting worse and worse, and I'm just like, man.
It's getting bad, and you're starting to see more young people too become homeless as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people in our generation, they're more secretive about their homelessness, which is a problem, because then, you know, someone can lie to you and be like, "Oh, I'm going home," but really they're probably trying to find somewhere to sleep in the park, or probably trying to find somewhere to sleep outside, you know, next to a building that's less frequently visited by people around in the community. So it's pretty tough, you know, and it's sad that it's a bias issue. Some people have a biased view where, oh, they can work, they're not sick, they don't have any broken legs, arms, da 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 da. But at the same time, many of us just have that compassion and just want to help. We can give enough assistance and let them live on their own, as long as they're able to provide just a small bit of, ability to sustain themselves as well. I totally agree.
Yeah, man, because I think people, because of the image and portrayal of homelessness, they think bum doesn't work.
Yes.
When in reality, like I said, I would walk on the streets of Miami and people didn't even know I was homeless. One guy caught on, like, why do you go over to this area? And he realized I was sleeping in my car. And it's kind of like, you know, what about those people that are actually working 2-3 jobs and they still can't maintain? And that's another thing I want to get into. Your background when it comes to being involved criminal wise. Would you like to discuss that? Explain people, go ahead, because I feel that's something people need to talk about. Now, there's a lot of brethren and sisters out here on these streets where they've had felonies. And people don't realize the barrier and the challenges that come with that. Just housing alone, because there's a lot of places still where if you have a felony, you can't have housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's not fair because we're all human at the end of the day.
Yes.
So what is your view, especially because you do, I would like you first off to explain what happened with your situation, what charge you got, and how it affected you, and what's your plan to combat that over here in Southwest Florida?
Well, what happened to me was, you know, it was a very sad issue, very rough time in my life. My mom ended up having a stroke during the time of the, with the recession in 2008 going into 2009. My mom lost her house. She ended up having a stroke at the same time of losing her house, and my brother ended up going to prison for a large amount of time because he, tried to provide for his family as well. He's not, blood related to me, but we've been so close that I call him my brother. And I just end up taking the initiative, and I went out there and I actually sold drugs because during the recession, I'm watching people next to me lose homes, lose cars, lose jobs, and the only people that was around me doing good simply was the guys on the corner. So, I went up to them. One guy, helped me out, gave me something, and I went and sold some things. I ended up making enough money just to maintain making a payment for my mother's house for that particular month. At the same time, I didn't like what I was doing because I knew it could mess up my chances with my career, and it eventually did. I ended up going to county for a year. I ended up getting out and getting on probation. I violated probation. I ended up going to prison for a year. During my whole time, when I stood in front of the judge pretty much knew, that it was a hard situation for me. And I flat out told him, he asked me, why are you here? And I told him, Your Honor, and I, sold such and such. And I told him I'll do it again because I was trying to help my mom. And he looked at me, he said, you know what, son? This is the first time I ever felt like somebody told me the truth and didn't feel ashamed about it. So you know what? He said, you know what, son, I'm going to give you a year in prison. He said, come out clean, please. And here I am today. And now, with Florida laws, felons now can have an ability to seek their rights. Fortunately for me, I'm here. I paid my dues. I did my time. I got active within the community. I did not have a job. I made it my goal to have a job, go to college, and find a better way in life because I would never want to mess up like that again, to stop my life from being able to grow into something very beautiful and prosperous.
Man, and it has, man. People don't realize people's situations, their struggles. Like I said, it's the same thing with homelessness. They have this certain portrayal, especially when you come from a more American background like us. Like, hey, you're in the hood. You most likely are a criminal. You most likely this. Just around the same time your mother lost her house was when my mother lost her house. And that's a whole nother topic because a lot of people's houses were foreclosed in that area. So I don't find that coincidental. But a lot of us were broken. We were all just trying to provide for our families any way that we can. I love the fact that you're open about the situation.
Seeking a position like this and running it in an arena like this, I think it's important for everybody to know about me. I'm not afraid to tell you about me. I'm not afraid to talk about my past. But I just want everybody else out there to know that you can change your life. You can find a pathway back to citizenship. You can find a path in your life where you're okay and comfortable with how you want to live. There's nothing stopping you, only yourself. There might be laws in place and things like that, but you got to realize you can rise above the rim in order for you to have a great life and live out your best life.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling education. A lot of millennials feel that the education system is really broken. Really broken. How would you help improve the education systems?
Amen.
And also in regards to student loans, because we can't talk about education system without that. I feel that this is one of the major problems for millennials is having a student loan. What also would be your plans to help tackle student loan debt?
Okay. This is a very, very great subject for me as well. Now, there's plenty of people running for office and that's already in office that have enacted legislation where anyone who has a 20 grand debt with any college or university can be forgiven. The problem is there's not enough people supporting it that's in office. I would actually jump a part of that support for it, get it pushed through the House, make it in the Senate, and work with people behind the scenes to actually get it done. Now, what can we do right now to combat it? I think that many people who's entering high school right now, should go through their freshman, sophomore year, maintain anything above a 2.5, 3.0. Maintaining the 2.5, 3.0, they should be able to contact their counselor and let the counselor know that they would actually like to enter a technical school in college to help eliminate the cost of college by finishing their junior and senior year in high school. We do have programs like that today. It's just not big enough for the broader public. So what I would want to do within this region is to make it broader, and then being in office, make that broader, make that program broader as well amongst Florida and around the country, because we tend to fall behind in engineering, education, science, and so forth, because we do not have enough technical skill. So therefore, since we do not have enough technical skills here in the country, they tend to bring people outside of the country into the country to fill those technical positions. I'm all about America first. So I feel like people here should be able to be the first ones to receive that type of education and also support in education for them to have a better career. I have nothing against people wanting to come from other countries and come here, and find a better life and find work and be able to provide for their families. But we have to focus on the people here, because we have a problem here, and I hate to see all that support and focus go to people, that's not from here first.
True. Okay, that's cool. Now, I spoken to you before in regards, because at one point you used to call yourself Solar Power Dumornay, yes, and you were all about solar power energy. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that Florida can become a solar powered state?
Oh my gosh, why are we not?
Yeah.
All this sunshine we're getting.
I'm trying to tell you.
How hot it was this summer. And we just got the cool air.
Yep.
And how long is that gonna last?
Mm-hmm.
2.5 months. February, we're heading out and back into 98 to 110 degree weather. We might hit 115 this summer. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I had a name, Solar Power. Now I changed it to Mr. Sunshine. But, for many of us, we still, whether we're young or old, we're still wondering why we're not, solar powered. We can easily go solar. It's just that we have a problem where we don't want to leave how we make money within the state and also within the country. Fortunately, it's a great thing that our generation wants to be in the solar realm, and we want to have it because it's also cost effective, and it eliminates a lot of debt within our lives. Now, imagine having an apartment where you're receiving solar energy from your local utility company, and boom, you pay what, $5 on your on your electric bill, just because you're paying for solar power that they're receiving as free energy, so you're help paying that cost with the utilities company. Imagine, having the ability to buy a house and giving an easy, pathway to actually receive solar panels for your home. Now, on my website, I wanted all government-operated utilities and transportations to go solar. It would help eliminate costs for a lot of things within the area, and also gives us money to focus on other issues that can be done as far as improving our roads, sidewalks, buildings, bridges, and even helping with the education sector, and also being able to help get this high-speed railway on its foot. I feel like we need it so much is because, once again, our generation is facing a lot of debt, and we need to actually find ways to make us more debt-free. And being solar takes a lot off of your shoulders, because we all know we would love to eliminate a light bill so we can focus on something else within our lives to help us improve our lives and get by in our lives as well. Now, the busing system is a main, gas guzzler, diesel guzzler within our economy, and being able to replace, the busing system on solar/electric power, where every station that they, stop by just to rest for 10 minutes, they can actually pull up on top of a plate, where a magnet, where they generate and they charge as they sit and then continue their way. I just feel like it's the right thing to do, and I feel like it's the most cost-effective thing to do, and I just feel like our generation needs it, so we can be more debt-free and live more futuristic and head on into the future more calmly, more safely, and more focused.
Yeah, and that for the environment, that would be
Amazing.
Amazing. Well, let's get on the environment, because Florida, we're known for our wildlife. How would you feel about helping in regards to the environment?
Man, at first I didn't care about the environment. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, but as I got older, I realized how much it means a lot. We need it. We need to have clean water. We're slow. Like, you can't even go to any river, any lake, any parks within the area, wherever you live, and drink fresh, clean water, because we have a lot of runoff from a lot of our businesses. And if we just begin to take the necessary steps to be more futuristic in how we do and think, we can actually be able to see more clean water. We can actually see clean lands, because we see a lot of overdevelopment going on, where our lands is just not looking so great. We're also encroaching into the wildlife. We got more bears, more wild panthers being spotted in areas that people are living, but yet we're not realizing that we're encroaching on their territory and their way of living. So it's, one of my focuses, it is expanding our conservancy and being able to get more resources and more help to those that's actually already on the front lines, protecting our wildlife, protecting our waters, protecting our lands, and also, protecting our air, as far as, trying to get companies to bring down their CO2, emission, their carbon emissions. Living in Florida would be such a focus for me, because I would love to have a clean home, and I would love to leave a better home for our future generations, which is our children coming behind us, because we can look to the generation up before us, and they're not doing such a good job in making sure we have a clean and safe environment for ourselves as well.
That is so true. And I travel a lot, going different places, right? So like, there's certain parts of Florida, I went to Sebring recently, where I literally jumped into a freshwater pond. At first I was kind of like, is this brackish water? What is it? I jumped in, and when I came out, I'm like, it would be safer to drink this water than my own water, because it was that fresh and that pure.
Alkalinity.
Well, exactly. But a lot of these places don't realize how our water really is, and it's just like you said, you can't even trust your own water here. So that to me is a major thing. I should be able to be like, hey, our water's fine, safe to drink.
And just to touch, let me say this. I don't want to sound like every single candidate that's talking. Every single candidate can really get on and be like, oh, we're gonna fix the blue-green algae bloom, and then things like that, but they're not gonna solve the issues on why those algae blooms are happening. We have septic tanks from companies that literally have these tanks based around the water system. So imagine that you have waste literally flowing into these water systems, causing, oxygen levels to rise, causing bacteria within the water. We already have situations of red tide, which is bad for Southwest Florida. But we really need to think about what we're doing. And we really need to focus on how would this in the long term affect us.
Yeah.
Because it does. And Florida is an abundant place of water. And a lot of other states are not an abundant place of water. And God forbid a catastrophe happens and we are affected, because people in other countries are affected. There's a situation right now in Nevada. They're running out of water. South Africa is running out of water. South America has water contamination with lead from gold mining and other various situations that's going on there. I mean, our generation, and a lot of people in the generation before us and those behind us, they might not be so focused on that, but many of us are. And we're looking to take the right concrete actions to make sure we're safe and protected.
You're right, because even I read the whole report and I wrote about it. India itself, they said by 2020 isn't going to have water. I'm like, Well, that's literally less than a month away.
Yeah.
And it's hitting here too, but people aren't seeing it. Let's see what else I got for you.
Go on, come on with it.
Youth offender career training.
Yes.
What is this about?
Well, this is an experience that I had for myself that I just, I just wanted to be a better piece for my community, and I wanted to be a better piece for everyone else within the community that lives in the 239 Southwest Florida region. Youth career offender training is a program that I would like to bring forth, and with other people who's trying to do things like this within the area. I just feel like there's not someone at the top or in a position enough to actually help focus on this. People are young. Listen, anyone who's 18 and younger, anytime they get in trouble with the law, instead of giving them a hard punishment of sending them to a detention center for a year or two, or sending them to prison for that matter, in good sake of whatever people feel like they're doing, we should just stop that and actually give them a job as a sentence to help them figure out what they really want to do in life. Now, we can help you focus on your career because you made a mistake. But after you complete this program, you can either have that career or you continue down the same path as well because you passed 18. But before we send you to prison, I think you need a job. I think you need to figure out what you need to do with yourself. I think you need financial literacy classes. I think you need some sustainable living teaching. I think you need to go work at a place of business where you can understand that you need to, have a source of income to pay for your cell phone, to pay for your car, to pay for your home if you want it. I just feel like we're not thinking, particularly on how we should really solve the issue of our young folks, because we're just sending them somewhere and letting them sit down and think about it. But many times when we do that, we're actually breaking them down mentally.
Man, it's a traumatic situation, and I always talk on this because I feel like the system's outdated, laws are outdated, and I can't listen to it's a law, so it's wrong, because we are in a different time, a different era, technology's changed, and half of these brothers and sisters that get into the system, there's no guidance. So I used to say it doesn't make sense to sit here, give them this harsh punishment, tell them that they're wrong when they most likely didn't even know what they're doing was wrong. Or like you said, they're in a tough situation, they're trying to provide, we don't know the background story. But just sending them to jail or putting this on the record to continue to delay their, their progression does not help.
Yeah.
We need that.
And many times, like you just said, most people commit crimes because they're trying to provide for themselves or provide for their family, whether it be grandma or mom or an aunt that's taking care of them. Many people that have these offenses don't have a father in the household, and maybe if they do, the father is struggling. If they do got both parents in the household, they're struggling. And the relationship from a struggling, economy within the house can cause the relationship to be, completely out of whack.
Right.
So we have to really understand the reason for committing these crimes in order to heal them, rehabilitate them, send them into a career, help them learn something so they can find their way in life.
Exactly. Man, yeah, that's what it is. They need some guidance before we could just sit there and say, hey, you're stuck with this for the rest of your life.
We can disagree about anything, but what we need to do is find a solution.
Exactly. So now one of the biggest things that I think all Americans come across is healthcare and Medicaid.
Oh, yes, baby.
What is your view on the healthcare system?
Well, we got a man running for office named Bernie Sanders. I'm not, just gonna throw that out there, but he pretty much has a good, way. But, we have to find compromise. We would love to have free healthcare, but we gotta realize there's a business community out there as well, and they don't see that as a good thing, primarily. If we was to have free healthcare, that means taxes rise when taxes already has been rising within the community at large, and we're paying for it.
Yeah.
So I would want to see us work together. A lot of people within Congress, a lot of people within the Senate work together to where we can bring the healthcare cost to the same affordability as a cell phone, a family plan. We have the Affordable Care Act, which everybody calls the Obamacare. It was a good system. It just it needed some tweaks.
That's right.
For one, we didn't need to be taxed for not having health care.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
But I also feel like there was things we could have done, you know, whether it be Republican or Democrat. I'm an independent. Whether it be Republican or Democrat, we should have been able to be like, you know what, this is good. Let's eliminate the tax, the tax that we put on people for not having health care. Let's help us, you know, improve how people get drug prescriptions, whether it be, you know, original drugs or generic drugs. Let's help, you know, this situation. Let's, you know, broaden the context, whether we want to just pay for, you know, walkthroughs into the emergency room, or we just want to have a flat out healthcare plan. There's many things we could have done, but I think getting rid of it and breaking it down piece by piece so it could fall on its face was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Because so many people was on it. I even had it. For the first time in my life, I'm 30 years old, for the first time in my life when healthcare came out like that, I was actually able to pay $65 a month for my healthcare, and I went and got a physical even when I didn't need it. I went and got checkups even when I didn't need it. It just felt good to know that I actually have the ability to check on my health.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I literally went to the hospital, and you know, I rarely get sick, but I ended up getting like 13 staples because I got stabbed by glass. Long story, but anyway, I went in and I seen the cost of how much they just charged me for a bandage, and I was like, if I did not have that health care implemented, I don't know what I would have done with myself, because I had no choice but to go to the hospital. So just to have to sit here and decide, should I let myself bleed out because I know how much they're going to charge me, or should I be able to go to the hospital? I should not have to make that type of decision.
You hear what you're saying?
Exactly.
It's either debt or health.
And it should not be like that. That really irks me. And I feel a lot of people feel the same way, because there's people where, you know, I'm thankful for how healthy I am, but there's people that aren't in that same boat where they have to go in and out of the hospital all the time. So how are they even affording this? Oh man, we don't even want to talk about it.
And you know, there's many people that do want to see healthcare at a cheap or affordable cost. It's just that, man, we have to find compromise. Compromising within, you know, this arena is, you know, our lives. This is our future. Compromising is our future. I understand we have a business community, but we need to compromise for the rest of the community.
Yep.
You know, we cannot be like this. We cannot be the #1 country and don't even provide affordable health care.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
insane.
That just, nobody should ever have that life decision. Like, should I go to the hospital because I'm about to bleed out, or should I just stay here because it's too much money? And when I had asked myself that, that's when I'm like, no, something is wrong with the system. I should never ask that. Okay, just a couple more questions and we're gonna be good. Marijuana. Now, you know, a good percentage of millennials, they are pro legalization of marijuana. What's your view on marijuana and how it could help the Southwest Florida economy?
Well, I just want to say I don't smoke weed myself. I used to, and I don't. But right now, medical marijuana is actually taking the industry by storm. It's actually, you know, leading the way, because I think it's a perfect way of leading. You know, they're focusing on the troubles that people have, whether it be anxiety, depression, eating disorders, sleep deprivations. It's changing the industry, and I love it. You know, because 10 years ago I would have never seen this coming. I think it's on its right course. I don't know if I could talk about recreational yet, because a lot of people have a biased view when it comes to recreational use. But the form that it's in right now, I'm a supporter of, because I know a lot of people who do have their medical marijuana cards, and they're actually getting what they need for them to function when they're at work, to function when they're home, to be, you know, more energetic and feel better about themselves, because they actually have that way, you know, to escape and just be them. Because a lot of times we don't know what people are going through, and a lot of times we just need to be understanding of what they're going through. And I think the way the industry is set up right now, is at its best, and it will open doors for many other things. And if you wanted to know, am I a supporter of the industry right now when it comes to medical marijuana? Yes, I am. I would not take that from anybody. I would work with people about that.
Yeah, I really changed my view on that some years ago when I had a friend who had seizures, and I literally was like, somebody just get him some weed, because that was the only time he was straight, like, just get him some weed. I had another boss, she had cerebral palsy. And
I've seen that. You know, I've seen, what hurt me the most is when I first, actually seen something from my eyes. I saw a little girl, it was a documentary, and she just kept having, tense muscle spasms. And, it was unbearable to watch, but I watched it because I wanted to understand what this is doing for a lot of people in their lives. And the minute this little girl had a little drop of oil on her tongue, within seconds, she was fine.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. A parent should never have to see their daughters or sons go through any type of situation like that, knowing that there's something out there in this form that can help. And we need to be understanding with what medical marijuana is doing for people across this country.
Man, I'm telling you, when the CBD was like starting, she said it used to feel like she was walking on top of glass all the time. Like when she would come to work, you could see how drained she was. Once she got on the CBD oil, she was a new person. Like she barely felt that pain anymore. So I'm, I'm all pro marijuana because I see what it can do, how it can help people. I know a lot of people are biased, and I've been preaching this for years. I've done so much research on this to be like, you're worse off drinking alcohol before having marijuana, honestly. So I'm pro for that. Alrighty, so one last question. You were on your website talking about a payroll tax.
Oh, yes.
Explain.
Payroll tax cut. When Obama was elected into office, a lot of people didn't realize we had a payroll tax cut. We was actually seeing a little bit more on our checks. And it actually worked because rent wasn't as high as it is for a lot of people today. But it worked. Like many of us would love to have $650 in rent right now, just like we saw 5-6 years ago.
Right.
But being able to give, work with a lot of officials to bring back payroll tax cuts right now, to actually, boost the economy and stimulate the economy through a lot of people who make $60,000 or less. I feel like that's what we need to cut it at. People who makes less than $60,000 a year should be able to receive a payroll tax cut. We see too many times that we give tax cuts to the rich and the wealthy, but we rarely see, those same people focus on us, giving us payroll tax cuts. So I feel like providing us payroll tax cuts will help us, better situate our lives. It will actually stimulate the economy because we'll be more energetic to take care of things in our lives, whether it be paying off debt, whether it be buying things for the home, whether it be purchasing a car, whether it be shopping for new clothes, or being able to, help assist what your children is doing in their lives and being able to go out. It just ultimately boosts the economy in every single way imaginable. Having a payroll tax cut in this moment of time right now would actually work for all of us that make less than $60K a year.
Okay. So, Mr. Dumornay, I am very impressed by what I am hearing. I'm loving it all. I feel a lot of people can relate to what you're saying, especially because a lot of us are young out here in Florida. A lot of people don't know about what Florida culture. 50% are like snowbirds, retirees. The other are millennials, first generations. So I feel that we do need to see somebody relatable that's our age that actually will vocalize for us. So it's good to have you running as candidate for District 19. Is there any last words you'd like to give everybody out there?
Well, I want everybody to know that I'm the only candidate right now that's actually running for office that makes less than $30K a year. I'm 30 years old, and I'm looking to actually show you guys that we need more people like us within this arena. And I want everybody to realize that a lot of people our age don't really come out and vote. We don't come out and vote because we do not see the hard line that need to be taken to help assist us within our communities. So many people talk, but we actually see their actions do the talking for them. And I want people to know that, working with me brings you more money. Working with me brings you more success. Working with me and electing me brings a better future. And that's what I want people to know. Affordable housing, health care, expanding Medicaid, because people who are living together that have a combined income of $60,000 can't get Medicaid for their children. I would help fight for that and expand Medicaid. We need it. And those are the things I want people to know.
Okay, so
Real life situations.
Okay, you guys have it right here. This is Mr. Antonio Dumornay running for Congressional District 19.
And for the record, I don't mean to cut you off. For the record, if you look at every single candidate right now, I'm telling you, they are feeling very entitled to your vote. Just because you're a Republican, they're gonna be like, oh, I got a Republican base already. But you need to start checking these people at the door because they're really not focusing on you. You got a lot of Democratic candidates, you know, they're also feeling entitled to that vote as well. You need to check them at the door before you give them your vote. Now, I'm not saying don't vote for who you want to vote for, but you need to check those candidates at the door and actually see what they are willing to do for you and your community.
That's real. And you guys already know how I feel. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat. It's all about what the person brings to the table. If they're here trying to better our situations, trying to uplift us and uplift the community, because reality is we want to see everybody doing good. Really think about who you're voting for. And it was a pleasure having this interview with you, Mr. Dumornay. I truly appreciate you. Thank you for coming by. Lady Empress, you already know, follow me. Lady Empress on everything. Instagram, hey. You could find me there, Snapchat. You could find me there, SoundCloud. Hey, everything. I'm on everything. Thank you once again, Mr. Dumornay.
And then also, you can find go to www.dumornay2020.com. DUMORNAY2020.com.
Definitely. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in.
All donations are set at $5. I'm not a money-hungry candidate. All it takes is $5 to donate to me. If you want to donate more, please contact me and I'll give you more links for you to donate through PayPal or Cash App.
Oh, there you go. Cash App, that's what I'm talking about. He's not even asking for much. He's just saying $5, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you, Mr. Dumornay, for stepping in and showing everybody, hey, you're about it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming by.